Hey there, my fellow lunatics, and welcome to Dakon's Madhouse. Hey there, everybody. Today we are going over an endgame magic damage build. This one focuses on mana regen and magic damage, not so much on magic barrier. Let's take a close look. Alright, so first up, we have got the entire Arcane Monk set. All three pieces drop off of any of the Hydra bosses. You can also find them in various locations within the Shimmering Frontier, such as the battle arenas. After that, we have got the Pearl Lantern, which is craftable at the Octarine Workbench. And then we have got three pieces of polished jewelry. The polished gold crystal necklace, the polished golden spike ring, and the polished glow tulip ring. All of these can be found at the jewelry workbench, but you need to have the jewelry crafter skill in the crafting tree. This takes at least an 80 in your crafting skill to be able to get. If you need to work on your crafting skill still, check out my wood farm video, and that will help you raise your crafting. For our offhand item, we've got the blue leather tome. This is craftable at the Malagaz core statue. If you're not a fan of the blue leather tome, or you just want to use the rift lens is great. It also provides magic damage. It doesn't provide any magic regen though, and it doesn't provide as much magic damage as the blue leather tome, which is why I'm using that over the rift lens, despite the awesome teleportability of the rift lens. And then finally, we have got the Scholar's Satchel, which can drop off of any of the Hydra bosses. For weapons, we've got the Tome of the Deep to provide a little bit of extra support. This is found off of various destructibles, jellies, crates, etc. within the Sunken Sea. And our primary weapon is the Arcane Staff. This drops off of either Gorm or Malagaz. When it comes to skills, the important skills really are the ones that focus on improving your movement speed. Like, for example, pick and run, whenever you have to fight Urslime. Any kind of movement speed boost is really useful. This is why, for example, Gotta Go Fast in the running tree can be really useful. In the range skill, weakness detection is probably one of the most important ones, because you'll have a 10% chance on a ranged hit to gain a 100% critical hit chance. And when you get that proc, you are basically going to just get your mana right back up to full, because your next few hits are guaranteed to be crits, and your mana is just going to come right back. You're also going to want amplified precision to once again improve your critical hit damage. Otherwise, when it comes to the magic tree, your most important stuff you're going to find in the magic tree. I like to go down this basic kind of setup where I start here with True Sight, then I go on to mana channeling, I do best offense, arcane frenzy, and fully charged. Because this build has such mana regen, fully charged actually does do us pretty good, because we will still be spending most of our time at full or close to full mana. If you're struggling with mana regen, then fully charged may not work as well for you, and I recommend then taking Deep Pool instead. And then finally, in the summoning tree, Trickle Down Arcana is useful to give our Tome of the Deep a little extra boost. And I like Tough Gang as well, because it gives us a little bit extra mana barrier, since this build really doesn't focus on mana barrier. When it comes to pets, I recommend the Snuggly Grade. This is because the Snuggly Grade has an ability to give you mana regen whenever they do damage. You can get this 10% chance to gain mana on hit. Now, as far as I can tell, this is based on when the Snuggly Grade does damage, not when you do damage, but I don't have that confirmed. So if you know for sure one way or the other, let me know. But I do know that this 55% chance that I have to regain mana on hit is my mana that I get back. So the Snuggly Grade is a pet that both attacks and buffs the player at the same time, though not all of their abilities buff the player. As far as I know, only the mana regen actually buffs the player. It's just really poorly worded. But this is the main reason why I prefer the Snuggly Grade for the mage builds. That mana regen is excellent. When it comes to foods, these are the epic foods that I prefer to use. Now, if you want a full breakdown on the ingredients and how to get each one of these things, then I recommend checking out my endgame food video, because it'll have all the details that you need in order to properly make all of this food. This build has a lot of mana regen. And a lot of the mana regen focuses around the skill mana channeling, which lets you get 10% of your mana back on a crit. After buffs, this build has an over 50% crit chance, meaning you'll be critting a lot, and this will keep your mana up. I think one of the hardest parts of this build is just getting everything. Yes, all the hard to get gear drops off of the Hydra bosses, so you can just farm Druidra for your arcane armor and your satchel, but you will need to be strong enough to already kill those guys. So if you're struggling with the Hydra bosses, this build can be a little hard to get going. If you don't crit a lot, you will also struggle with mana regen. If you find that this is happening, I recommend replacing the Glow Tulip ring with another Crystal Spike ring to improve your crit chance. Now, this build also doesn't have a lot of movement speed, so be sure to keep your distance from Urslime so you don't get caught up in its wake. Because of the mana regen focus, other staves don't work well with this build. You need the speed of the arcane staff to get those extra crits and really get that mana regen loop going. Fortunately, the arcane staff drops early in the game off of relatively easy bosses, so it's pretty easy to farm. Overall, I find that this build does a really good job at bringing down the bosses very, very quickly, and it does a really good job as well just with general exploration, as you're able to take down enemies from a distance pretty fast. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for future content, and if you are feeling really generous, please join us on Patreon or become a YouTube member. Your support means the world to me, and I can't do it without you. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. Stay happy, stay healthy, and above all, stay crazy.